Good afternoon, everyone. We're back with another episode of Final Fantasy. This time we'll be going through yet another cave because why wouldn't we?
I certainly hope this episode will be a little more entertaining than last time. We got some things done, but I'm hoping we can get through more important fights since Astos was the most interesting thing we fought. But even he was finished in less than a minute.
Right you are, Ben. I'm looking forward to fighting the elemental fiends guarding the crystals. It would be quite a shame if we didn't encounter one in the first few videos.
Not to worry, we will definitely be able to this time. Even though the videos are getting to be a little shorter due to cutting out a lot of less necessary battles, we'll be able to go through the dungeons much more quickly and still accomplish a lot.
I suppose you're right, but I do kind of wonder on a slightly different note. Don't you think it's a little strange how we are just able to follow a map that shows us exactly where to go? It does make it go by more quickly, but kind of removes any suspense that we would otherwise have.
I think you are correct. One of the strange things about the pixel remaster versions of the game are that there's a specific item and magic spell that allows you to look at the map. This is more unique in the original versions of the game, but since you can just press a button to bring it up here, it kind of loses the necessity of the spell and item. It's nice to have for convenience, but I don't think your assessment is wrong.
Of course it's not wrong. I'm Donald Trump. My assessments are always right.
Hey, I've been looking all over this map of the cavern, but somehow I can't find where anybody asked.
I think you need to look harder. You can look during one of the battles we will have coming up, since it's not like you'll be contributing anyway.
Okay, I have had it with you, Donald.
Oh,
I am
no,
a
here we
perfectly
go.
viable member, and this time by the end of the video, I will prove my worth to you. I will not take your insults of me being useless anymore. You will see me for my greatness.
I have a better chance of seeing Sleepy Joe stay focused on our game for more than 5 minutes without trying to sniff someone.
Hey, I haven't tried to sniff anyone in like half an episode or something like that.
Joe, you are not helping yourself, and could you all please focus up here? If we keep at each other, then we will all fail, and the world will fall apart with no warriors of light.
If they weren't going to vote for me as president, then they all deserve it.
I somehow don't think that saying everyone in the world should die if you're not the president, there has to be a better way of getting your point across.
No, I meant if they didn't vote for me, then they should be destroyed by the lack of crystals. That's what I meant.
Oh, much better. That's exactly why I'm going to win in the next election. You'll be sorry you ever heard the name Joe Biden when you lose the popular vote 3 times.
I guess we'll just see in a year or so then. Sorry I got a little heated there. I think the caves are really getting to me. That and fighting the birds, which is kind of weird that they're in a cave to begin with.
That's all right. I'm sure we'll be just fine once we get out of here and calm down. Hey, Barack, do you have any ideas on what we'll be doing for the rest of the video length?
I was hoping one of you would ask. We'll be finishing up part of this cave, but it's designed kind of weirdly. We'll have to get a certain item, leave the cave, then come back in and do the whole thing again to finally finish. It isn't good game design, but I'll be sure to mention when we're cutting away to a different part.
That is really strange design. It would make more sense if we were going to a different part of the cave entirely. But doing the first section all over again for no reason isn't good.
It really isn't. I don't remember having any other part that's quite like that in the game, so after this is done, we won't have to worry about it anymore.
Good to know. Also, it looks like we're going to have to fight this guy in order to get the item on the left of the room.
I'll get my roasting session on this time for sure.
I don't think that's in our best interest this time. This guy is a vampire and has probably been around a lot longer and heard more insults. It wouldn't have any effect on him.
That's some good critical thinking on your part. I think as long as we just attack him the same way we usually would, we'll be fine.
And before you could even finish that sentence, he is already down. He is an absolute pushover and deserves no respect or thought for being so bad at defending this room.
That is very accurate. We will be obtaining the Star Ruby. And at this point, we'll cut to being outside of the cave, so we can make a stop nearby and finish the rest of this area.
That sounds good. I wouldn't want to watch us go outside if there's nothing major we would be doing.
I wouldn't think walking back the same way out would be major. I can't imagine this being fun on the original release where you couldn't just turn off random encounters at the push of a button.
It does make it more of an issue, but it's not too bad unless you're on the original NES version where you have much more limited places to save and no autosave feature where you lose all of your progress.
That sounds almost as bad as me getting another indictment, unrelated to anything in my personal life happening. Anyway, what will we be doing with the Star Ruby?
Well, we're going to, you guessed it, go into another cave and give it to this golem so we can move and obtain the next item we'd need to get through the first cave.
I'm getting very sick of these caves. Did I mention I'm very claustrophobic? Especially when there are golems around?
You did not, but on a more important note, did this guy seriously just eat the ruby? I'm sure we could have just fought him and simplified this whole process, but I guess not.
We don't actually have to fight everything we come across. Sure, it's been a common trend, but if we just mow down everything in our path, then there's not going to be much of a world to save.
Okay, I guess you're right. But when we're done, I'm demolishing every cave in the world so none of us have to go through any again.
I think we are all in agreement with that. I don't want to stay in here any longer than I have to. I do need to get some presidential work done later, and I can't do that when I'm underground.
We all know you were going to be taking a nap right when this all finishes. I know you too well from my terms to think otherwise.
In his defense, he does need much more sleep than normal to be a contributing member of society, so he may be right on this one.
Ben, on that note, I have to make an admission. I put on your podcast episodes when I need to go to sleep since they are just that boring. I've never made it more than 5 minutes awake.
LOL, you are right. If I made a podcast, it would be the top rated in the nation and nobody could ever fall asleep, even Sleepy Joe.
Guys, we're almost to more entertaining parts of the game, and then we'll be able to pass the time without the constant back and forth every 5 minutes. I just need you to hold out a little longer.
Okay, fine. I guess if we'll be focusing on the game, not that there's anything interesting now, I do wonder, are there any plans you have for other games in the franchise to play?
I'm not completely sure. I do know finishing this game will be the main priority since it's not very long compared to the other entries, but it's not something I've thought through. I'll let you know more once we beat the first elemental fiend. That's coming up relatively soon, and I don't want to be distracted.
If my strategy guide is correct, it looks like we're getting the Earth Rod. It will allow us to go through that room where the vampire was. The door lead to a new section, but requires this rod before we could have progressed the first time.
And for the sake of convenience, I have put us back in that same room so we can make it through the last part of the Cavern of Earth. Then we'll be free from the caves for a while.
That's the best news I've heard in a long time. Say, Donald, why do you have a strategy guide? I think you first mentioned it in the last part, but Barack seems pretty knowledgeable about the game already. I think it's fine, just wasn't quite sure why you had it.
I do want to try to contribute to the discussion with this game, since though I'm naturally the better character here, I would be the most successful. Though I want to be aware of what we're coming up to next. I was not sure if it would be necessary, but think it could come in handy for some boss fights.
In that case, Donald, I have a question. Why is Joe gray?
It looks like he was turned to stone, I think very recently. This isn't something that can be healed with our current equipment. It requires the spell stona or the gold needle in order to remove the status, but some of these enemies inflict that status. He can still get experience for this version of the game, but cannot actually participate.
That is quite the shame. If we can find a gold needle or something from an enemy drop, that would be great. Otherwise, I'm out of the fight coming up soon.
Yeah, that would be a shame. Sorry, I can't heal you. I'll make sure this never happens again once I can properly heal you. But for now, we will just have to go on with the three of us fighting the encounters.
I unfortunately do not have any more advice, and I'm not sure if any gold needles are in here by the time we get to the end. This is an interesting situation, but I don't think it's unwinnable by any means.
It's fine, I will cheer you on from afar. Well, I guess I'm not actually that far, but what I mean is, I will be the moral support if I don't get out of this soon. I hope that has some real value to at least one of you.
Not really, but if I could somehow put you into a catapult and launch you at the enemies, I think that would be really effective. I don't suppose that's a magic spell that I somehow missed Barack?
It most definitely is not. But more importantly, we are right at the fight, and I'm sorry, Joe, we're going to have to fight him with just the three of us.
I'll make sure we're healed before it starts.
I appreciate it, Ben. And of course, another fight starts right before we're actually ready to finish things here. That was incredibly bad timing, but it's nothing we can't handle after all.
All right, everyone, it's time for us to finally get ourselves a challenge. Now, the Warriors of Light will get to show the Lich what it's like when you don't spend all of your time in a cave.
It is actually fairly well lit for being a cave, so maybe he's used to the light more than we thought.
That is a decent observation. If only your ability to not be stone was as good as your sight.
Focus up, everyone. Here's the game plan. I hit him with my sword. Barack, you hit him with the best magic you can. Ben, you make sure we don't die. And Joe, don't tell any stories from your childhood to distract us.
That's an incredibly simple plan, but if it's able to bring him down, then that's what really matters, I suppose.
I don't feel like I'm really contributing here because I am currently unable to move, but I'm sure you three have got this.
Whoa, hey, why am I paralyzed now? I can't use my attacks like I normally could. My strategy guide doesn't tell me what's going on.
It looks as though you are paralyzed, but if I remember correctly, you do have a 25% chance of recovering from it each turn until you're back and ready to fight. For now, Ben and myself will try to keep us afloat.
Yeah, Donald, this is finally the time I get to prove myself to you. Ain't no way I'm gonna let us lose this time.
This is not a very good situation, but perhaps we can pull out a victory, even though our fighters have been out of commission or the moment.
I'm not filled with confidence, but we aren't dead, so I'm keeping my hopes up for now.
This is a little bit problematic as I am going to run out of magic soon, meaning our attacks are going to get much worse. While Ben won't be able to heal us with his own magic, we'll definitely need to finish the Lich off quickly, otherwise it's game over.
I mean, realistically, we can just load our recent save, go back and heal everyone, then come back without Joe being in stone, but I see your point. For the sake of our playthrough, it would be nice if we got through all of this without losing any battles at all. I'm not sure if we'll pull through.
As long as I keep hitting him with my Barak Blizzard, he won't stand a chance.
That wasn't any less cringy than when you said it earlier, but as long as you're getting the results, I'll let it slide.
Forget about that. How is it that I've still been paralyzed? I attacked him one time, then he gets 2 turns in a row, then I haven't moved since. Better yet, why hasn't he gotten anyone else? This fight is rigged against me, and I'm going to be suing his corpse after we kill him.
He already looks like a corpse, so I don't think we're going to make him more dead, but sure, you can sue him if you like anyway.
No need for that, Barak. This corpse is about to be a double corpse since we just destroyed this idiot. We should have called him the Lib instead of the Lich because I destroyed him like I do the liberals on a daily basis.
I'm just glad you didn't pull out your roasts on him again. I was having enough trouble not helping, but that would have finished me off. Good job, everyone. I'm glad we don't have to worry about him anymore.
Aside from the obvious rigging of my attacks that did go well, hey Barak, isn't this where we get new jobs or something like that?
Not exactly. That started in Final Fantasy III, in which more jobs would be accessible by doing certain things, usually after getting the crystals. Here, however, that is not the case. We will be upgrading our jobs later in the game, but it won't be for a little while longer. We can discuss that once we get closer to that point.
Okay, that sounds good. I did want to ask something that we brought up earlier. Since we got the crystal, what would be the plan after we finish this game?
So I did think about that earlier. I do know Final Fantasy II is one of the more unique games in the franchise, but I don't necessarily have the most fun playing it, and I don't know how many we'll end up doing anyway. I am interested in going through the 4th game, maybe the 3rd as well. The more games there are, the longer it takes to get through them, especially when the games are released on PlayStation. I can't say for sure, but that's my idea.
That does sound fun. I would enjoy seeing some of the later entries, especially the one with the green-haired girl for no particular reason.
Joe, I don't think I can handle another playthrough where you want to sniff girls' hair, especially if you're trying to go after ones that have unique hair colors. Are you trying to make this a worse experience for everyone?
No, it's not like that. I want to just see the intricate design of someone who looks unique enough to exist out of our normal world, but also has enough similarities to fit in with people in the real world. It's almost like you have a unique connection and can learn things based on comparing and contrasting the traits of people that are different. That, and yes, I want to sniff her hair.
Is there a way I can hire the Lich to turn you back into stone, you demented failure?
In a vain attempt to get past Joe's insane delusions, we are going through a new area of the Overworld. This has some new enemies, especially in the water, and we'll be getting a new item that will further our ability to explore instead of just giving it to someone and then not have it be used again.
That is good to hear. I was hoping we'd get an actual useful item instead of some lady's eye, a crown, and a ruby that ends up getting eaten.
I do think tasting that ruby would be good, even if it can't be eaten by people. I suppose if we did have it for longer, then it would have been sold by Hunter to get more of his substances that he likes.
I thought we were done with these jokes. Addiction is a serious issue that needs to be handled differently than a lot of other issues in the world.
What did you honestly expect from Donald here? I think this is almost to be expected when he's with you here.
We're not only going to be obtaining new items in the normal shops, but also we'll have access to a canoe, which will let us go through different bodies of water, which is required for the next 2 areas we'll go to.
Nobody cares about that, but I think what we do need to focus on is Joe's presidency.
Will you shut
need
up,
to sell
man?
one of those star rubies to afford gas these days.
I had more job growth than you have, and plus I'm not trying to focus any insurrections unlike you. So you need to consider your own actions that you took as president instead of focusing on mine, so get wrecked.
I will formally announce my own run for president if it will get you to focus on my white mage redemption story. I feel we brushed past it after that fight with the Lich.
Ben, like 3 people would vote for you as president, and none of them would be your own family. They'd all vote for me since I am clearly the better candidate.
I would vote for Sleepy Joe over you since he has not really insulted my magic like you have. Plus, with his age, him being reelected would be his final fantasy, which makes sense since we're playing the game now.
That would be your Final Fantasy II Donald, since you're almost as old as him already.
Donald, if you think you'd beat me in an election, then I could beat your Final Fantasy 3 times in a row, if the Constitution would allow me to.
I can settle this Final Fantasy for you. None of you should be the president, since none of you are fit. I'd rather see someone much younger, since they have a better idea of the type of people that will be the future of the world, instead of a lot of older guys like us.
I don't know if that's such a good idea. I mean, do you really want the next president to be some kid with Kanye West shoes on that dabs during his inauguration speech? Or responds with, nah, for real, no cap fam, when he's asked how he will solve world hunger?
Okay, you're right. That would be a really bad idea. At that point, I'd let this crocodile be the president instead.
That's probably the smartest thing you've said this whole episode. Anyway, we're almost done, so I have to go play an 18-stroke match of golf against Ron DeSantis.
Sounds good. I'm going to get my firstborn child take over Daily Wire so I can run for president full time.
I have to go do president things like figure out what that green-haired girl's name is for research.
That sounds incredibly disturbing, but you go do that. We're going to be going through a few more new areas in the next episode, so be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more Final Fantasy content. Peace out, fellow people.
Haha, just kidding about the hair. Make sure to vote for me too, if you want to see more games on the channel.
How could you ever consider locking content from YouTube away based on the amount of people that vote for you? Vote for me, and you'll get all the Final Fantasy games you want. For real, no cap.